Losing weight can change your life in probably more ways than you would have ever imagined. So in this video, we're gonna go over what happens when you lose 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and ultimately 100 pounds. Luckily for us, I posted everything from the good, the bad, and the ugly on Instagram every single day while losing this over the period of 6 months. So at 10 pounds down, there won't be any real visual changes yet. But for your energy, that's where you're gonna see the biggest spike. Just from the fact you're not eating McDonald's 3 times a day anymore, chances are that chicken, rice, and the veggies are actually gonna bring your body the actual nutrients it needs. And all of a sudden, just like that, you already feel like you have the energy to conquer the world. Except the chances are your cardio still sucks, so don't try to go running a few miles if you value your heart. You're not gonna undo the last 10 years of Baconators that quickly. At 20 pounds down visually, you'll probably start seeing a little bit of change around the fat of your face. Other places I started to see it right away was around my calves and my forearms. But at this point, chances are you're still getting rid of some of the water retention and inflammation from all those supersized meals from those X years of your life. At 30 pounds down, visually, you start seeing yourself in the mirror not looking like a beluga anymore. And you almost start getting a little excited at the idea of being shirtless because of all the change that you're finally starting to see. And so chances are that at this point, you're done with the inflammation and the water retention and you're actually starting to burn real fat. And mentally, you start to finally wake up. Less brain fog during the day, less daydreaming about food. And one very important thing I started noticing at 30 pounds down is that I actually started feeling a little bit more full after every meal that I ate. Because during weight loss, a hormone that actually starts going up is called leptin. And this hormone is responsible for making you feel satiated after eating food. And at 50 pounds down, your confidence is through the roof. And now you can actually officially see it as a point of no return. The old you is now pretty much dead and everything starts becoming a little ritual, like these little habits that you have to do every day. One of the things I started noticing at this point really is that I started telling every single person I met exactly what I was doing and what my goals were. And everybody at this point realizes that you're on a mission and they'll stop trying to put little things like McDonald's in front of you just as a way to try to mess you up because they know exactly what you're trying to achieve. And to give you guys an idea of the confidence boost that I experienced, I went to Instagram to let everybody know that I hadn't had sex in 8 years, completely abstained from relationship and sex for 8 years.
Crazy. You should be young and wild.
And started making videos about penis size.
Every 35 pounds that a man loses, he gains 1 inch in his...
That day, for no particular reason, I decided to go for a little run.
So at 60 pounds down, that's when things really start getting serious. And visually, you can really start to see that you're onto something great. You might start to see some loose skin depending on how quickly you did it, but that has a lot of genetic factors in there, how long you held the weight, and what kind of foods and habits that you're doing to actually lose the weight. I have some loose skin, but not that much because from day one, and I even posted this on Instagram, I was doing these twists that would help tighten up my midsection. Main takeaway from this is that you're starting to look sweet. And you really start to feel it too. You might have had even a few plateaus along the way, but mentally you're okay with that now, and generally by this point you should pretty much know how to handle them and what to do to blast through them. But one of the biggest things that happened to me when I hit my 60 pounds is that I started noticing that I wasn't necessarily as hungry anymore. And not just in between meals, but in general. So another hormone that comes into play during weight loss is called ghrelin. And this is the hormone responsible for making you feel hungry. So the more weight you lose, the more that hormone actually starts trickling down. 70 pounds down, chances are that if you got this far, there is no more stopping you. And around this point, at 70% of your goal is when it generally starts to get considerably harder, simply because, well, there's less fat to lose now. So the numbers are gonna go down slower. And visually, this is where you're really gonna start to see the most changes quickly. Like, one of the biggest milestones that happened when I hit my 70 pounds is that I felt like I was actually finally comfortable after all this time to not wear a shirt anymore in public or around my house even. And that was a massive milestone. I even remember my mom commenting on it, saying how she was so happy that I was finally comfortable in my own skin. And if you're fat, chances are you can really understand how crazy just thinking about that can be. And this might actually attribute to the fact that around heavy-duty weight loss, your IGF-1 levels are gonna start creeping up as well. And this is the hormone that manages the effects of growth hormone in your body. So the IGF-1 switch in your body is a very big milestone because it's an absolute game changer and you're gonna start seeing changes very quickly from then on. And then at 80 pounds down, your triiodothyronine or your T3 hormone will start to go up. This is a hormone that helps regulate your body temperature, your brain function, as long as your heart rate, aka a direct increase in your metabolism. I was starting to feel really comfortable pushing an hour on the treadmill, and it really wasn't that challenging anymore. I felt like I could do more. Physically now, that last 10 pounds between 70 to 80 was bigger than probably 30 to 70. It was massive. And it was really at this point where I started to feel like I could actually start to see my muscle mass that was waiting underneath of my body this whole time, which is around this moment, if you check on my Instagram feed, that I started showing my quads in most of my videos, actually. I was proud, okay, sue me. And on another side note, I was getting so comfortable with myself around this part that most of my relationships started to just generally increase. And this was with my friends, my family, and I even actually met someone. And then 90 pounds now. This is probably the part of your journey where you actually have to be the most careful. Because if you got this far, chances are that this is the only thing you desire, this is your life mission, and it's the only thing you care about, you think about all day long. And all of a sudden, you start to see the finish line. And you have to start to realize that you're not actually getting close to the finish line, that the 100 pounds that you originally set isn't your goal. So when I was with Will at that scene in McDonald's, he asked me if I took a bite, would I take another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then would I even be able to stop? But I mean, at the time, you know, we were on camera, there's people around, and it was easy to just say no and just stop thinking about it because we were so tired from the gym. But later that day when we were alone in his car, and he kept pushing that same subject, asking that question over and over and over, I ended up straight breaking down and just crying in Will Tennyson's car. It was at that point where I really realized that there was a lot more work to do. There was a lot of healing that had to be done, and I wasn't even getting close to finishing. And even just while I was writing the script for this video, just thinking about it, I almost cried too. So now that I'm done the goal, I'm still not finished. And depending on how long it took you to hit it, whether it was months, years, or even decades for some, you lose your 100 pounds. For me, this was super emotional, and still is right now, just trying to talk about it. I remember I was like bawling straight for about 30 minutes while I tried to record my video in my bathroom after weighing myself and seeing that number on the scale finally. And I mean, sure, visually I felt like I finally looked amazing, but I realized at that point I really didn't care about what the scale said after that. Just realize that 100 is just a number. It doesn't reflect the years of depression, all that damage you did to your body, to your mind beforehand, the loss of even potential relationships or career opportunities because of your body. You realize the importance of setting realistic short and long-term goals. Now, mine was to enter a bodybuilding show, which was actually a dream of mine since I was in high school. But yours doesn't have to be that extreme at all. And I would actually probably advise against doing something that extreme because your chance of relapse is massive.
So no matter how much weight you have to lose, what's important isn't how long it took you to get there, but rather the habits that you developed to make sure that you never go back.
That's the thing. I'm not going to, if I go there to win, I'm
100 pounds.
oh shit. There's nothing in my head right now. There's no thoughts. The only thing I'm really thinking about is that this is nothing but the beginning. It is day 178 of losing 100 pounds in a year, and we just hit 100 pounds.